just how to manage the week. I feel like there's a lot coming at you, to still enjoy it, but still manage your time and make sure that you're as focused as you can be. So on the track, there's things, but I can't tell you. So I definitely, there's some things on the track that I definitely want to apply, but yeah, just overall managing the week.
Is there any nerves coming in here, or do you have? I mean, you've won some big races before.
Yeah, there's not any nerves. I mean, there will be nerves, when you get ready to get in the car on Sunday, and even get in the car for practice on Friday. But I feel like last year, yes, I was very nervous, but I feel like I excelled with those nerves. Qualifying, most nervous is qualifying, so being able to kind of jump through those hoops last year, even last week, the nerves for qualifying were high. So, yeah, I don't think nerves are a bad thing. Right now I'm not nervous, but I'm sure when the race comes around, and like I said, each moment of the weekend, it'll hit me for sure.
Will you be glad to get in the car rather than all of this media stuff? And are you okay
Yeah,
with that?
I'm okay with it. I'm a different person inside the car, so it's not like when I'm here, it's not taking away energy from what I feel in the car.
You were in the title race last year. As a competitor, what makes Phoenix a good track for crowning a worthy champion?
It's a good track because it's where they crown the champion. So you got to be good at it. You got to bring your best stuff and be the best driver you can be at this place. If they crown the champion at somewhere else, I would be the best at that place. So you try to make sure that this is your favorite racetrack, that you know everything about it. And if you do your job and prepare as well as you can, it will be that way.
So drivers, they say execute the weekend, but that's a simple phrase. But what does that kind of mean to you guys?
There's a lot of different things, pretty much minute by minute. But it just means, just means doing the best job that you can do, like not leaving any stone unturned, and just kind of making sure that you're doing everything in the car that you can do to win the race. So if you do all those things, you feel good with yourself, when you go home from this race, and that's every week. So yeah, I would say that's the goal.
From an approach standpoint, I'm assuming nothing really changes on your end, whether it's a regular race at Phoenix or a championship race.
Yes and no. Like, I'm not going to drive the car any differently.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, like you said, I'm not really going to prepare any differently because it's the championship in some ways. I'm just going to do more of everything. So I'm just going to make sure that I do everything I can do to be ready, and it's the same process.
For Sports for Free Media, what do you think? This is, first of all, congratulations on making the Cup Series championship 4. This is your first time ever. Are you feeling any nervousness, or maybe are you just feeling like any nervousness or any different emotions considering just being in the championship 4 in general?
Honestly, for me, sense of ease, in a really good place, I feel like, mentally going into this weekend. We know what's ahead of us, but not letting it overwhelm us, or myself, really, for that matter, coming into this. Just know we have in front of us, and I'm ready to go out there and get to work.
All right, and then I'm going to ask you a little bit of a fun question. Say you just want to watch a quick movie in the holler. Would you want to watch some Talladega Nights for the fun jokiness, or Days of Thunder for some serious hard action racing movie?
I probably would keep it more lighthearted for sure going in before I get in the car, because that's when it's going to get very, very serious. So
yeah,
that's more my speed.
All right.
What would you say is the most important thing that you've learned about yourself personally throughout the playoffs and throughout the year entirely?
Well, I think it's something that I've always had, but a good reminder of it this year, I think, was just determination. Pushing through the tough days, that word comes to mind the most, determination.
Toyota led all but 14 laps at Phoenix in March. Do you feel like you guys are one step ahead because of that, or has so much changed since then that you don't really know what to expect in terms of speed this weekend?
Things have changed, some teams have come on, some have gone away. But it's the same track we raced on in the spring. So certainly I think when you look at all of the Toyotas across the board, our performance here, whether it was Legacy, 2311 or Joe Gibbs Racing, we were all really, really solid at points throughout this weekend. So there's something about that lends itself to the Camrys. So certainly that's just another thing we can stack in our corner when we're trying to get ready from the confidence side of things that we did well. So nothing's guaranteed for sure, right? But certainly it feels good knowing that the last time we were here, we were really solid.
Do you think it'll take a race win to win the championship this year?
I don't know, but I'm going to treat it that way.
Okay.
Tyler, you came to the tunnel this time as a championship contender, unlike other times before. The mental attitude different? Was it different feel, a vibe for you?
Yeah, I know it's championship weekend, but yeah, I don't know what the right word is. I've said calm, just focused, but there's a lot on the line certainly, but just staying focused on what I need to do more than anything this weekend at this current moment.
Has there been any conversation with MJ now about how to close the deal like he did so many times with the championship?
I know we'll catch up between now and when we strap in the car, but yeah, just been with going through it with the team as we kind of have been the last 10 days or so. Just what do we need to be thinking about? Just going through our list of things as we get ready to prepare, and obviously we're here now, so a lot of the preparation is done, but still there's still a good bit of time, and almost an entire day before we finally get on track. So still plenty of time to think about little things, but largely I think a lot of the preparation is done. The car's loaded. It'll be here shortly, right? So feel good about what we've done getting ready for this weekend.
Tyler, Michael's drive to win at all costs, does that rub off on you, or does he have any words of wisdom or anything that he can teach you?
It's definitely been fun and eye-opening when we've had conversations, whether they've been in meetings or in the haulers. But I'd say I'd like to think that I have a pretty good sense of what it's going to take on Sunday, and certainly I think I'm driven for what it means for me, but also going through the shop and just the atmosphere at airspeed. I know it means a lot to everyone that is traveling, everyone that stays back at airspeed during the race weekends. So it's the motivation to be prepared is not lacking. We are all very excited for it, but it feels like everyone understands what we need to do, and we're focused on what lies ahead.
And that starts with the whole organization, not just up top with him.
Well, I think we all know what Michael's accomplished, and again, for those of us that have gotten to get to know him and talk to him, that mindset is positive, and it's something that we understand and we kind of absorb into how we like to approach and get ready for the weekend. I just feel like everyone has a real good, everyone's attitude, the mindset, everyone's excitement level, everything seems like it's in a really good place. But that it's no guarantee, right? We still got to go out there and do what we need to do.
And I know you're not involved in the lawsuit, and it doesn't really affect you at this time, but does this feel like a championship weekend with the lawsuit, with the race manipulation fines, with questions about DVP policy, all that other stuff going on? Does it feel like it's taking away from the fact that a champion's going to be crowned?
No, I know you said with, but it's just for me. And I think for our group, it's championship weekend. Everything else is not even in our focus.
By winning at Homestead and clinching a week early, are there specific things you guys were able to do in preparation for this weekend that you may not have been able to do if you had clinched at Martinsville?
Yeah, just more time to work on our car. I mean, I think either way we're going to try to bring a really good car for this weekend, but knowing we're in, knowing that this car right here that we're working on is going to be a Championship 4 car, it just gave us extra time to really focus on that car and understand what the work going into that car, what it means and what it's going to be racing for. It's been really cool over, I'd say, the last week to see, everyone from JGR chipping in and helping and coming by the shop and going over the car with our folks at Airspeed. So it just feels like everyone's really banded together and made sure that we have everything that we need on the car and that it's as fast as it can be when we get here.
Did you guys bring the same car from Phoenix, or have you used it at other points in the season, or is it brand new?
I couldn't tell you honestly. Me and Billy haven't talked about it a whole lot, but I know he was bummed when we wrecked our Vegas car because I think it was going to get rotated around and potentially be our car for this weekend. Or actually, I take that back. I think our Roval car, and that thing was destroyed. I think our Vegas car was like another option. That thing was destroyed. So, I mean, I've been through that before when I was at RCR. I feel like our Homestead car that we prepped, we built it 2 times and totaled it 2 times in the playoffs before we ever got there. So, I mean, those are just parts of racing. I feel like, my understanding, everyone was really happy with what we put together.
Thank you.
See this week fit the crime for what we saw on the track in Martinsville?
I don't know. I know that NASCAR had to do something, just because if you let that go, it'll just keep becoming more extreme every time. So, they got to put their foot down. And is it enough? Well, we'll see this week. If they do it again, then the penalty wasn't big enough.
I believe this is the first time that Team Penske has had 2 cars in the Championship 4. So what's kind of different this year with, both you and Blaney make it in terms of information sharing and so on, compared to when only one of you guys make it?
Yeah, I said earlier, it's the same. Nothing changes. Cars are prepared right next to each other. Teams were talking to each other when I left the shop on Tuesday to come out here. So everybody seems to be business as usual. It doesn't really change much from that standpoint.
Do you think it'll take a win in the race to win the championship this year?
It has all but one time, right? And it been 10 years we've been doing this?
Yeah.
And last year was the first time?
Yeah.
So chances are, you're going to have to win.
Okay. And then the car you guys brought, is it a new? Has it been used at Phoenix before? Has it been used earlier in the season?
No, it's a car that's been used. I don't know exactly where. It went. So they're all fairly similar these days. It's not like they're special cars anymore that people name.
Okay.
Both as a person and as a driver, what was the roller coaster like getting eliminated and then getting uneliminated? What did you feel like?
I don't think anything these days surprised me anymore. Just like, hey, we're back in, I got the call and I stepped outside for a second and was talking to him and came back in. I told my wife, "You're not going to believe this. We're back in." And then 7 days later, "You're not going to believe this. We're all the way in. We're in Championship 4." So we'll continue the story on Sunday.
Did you have an internal dialogue in those last laps of the race when you were about to get eliminated? Were you just like, "Oh, this is it. It's over"?
It's probably a few drivers that can understand it, right? It's not many people can understand, but you can see it happening. You're like, man, I just need a caution. I need something different to happen. And what's happening is not going to be good enough. I know the scenario that we're in. They told me the information. So, it's kind of like, and like you're just hoping, right? You don't ever give up hope until really, once you see the white flag, then you're like, if the caution comes out, it's over. And like, it's not going to be an opportunity to do anything crazy or different to make it happen. But apparently,
and then it happened.
Yeah, apparently it wasn't singing yet.
How much will experience give you a leg up? You have the most wins here. You've won more championships than your opponents. I mean, how much of a value do you put on that?
A lot. There's so much value and experience. You come here and you feel solid, right? You feel ready. I don't, like I said earlier in my career, there's no way you can feel ready the first time you come to Championship 4 because you don't know what's coming. And so, I know for myself, I can speak personally, but I did not feel ready, and after the race, I learned a lot and felt more prepared the next times. But the first one was like, oh, you don't even know what's coming your way. The stress, the pressure, all that stuff. It either makes you stronger or makes you crack, right? It's one way or the other, something's going to happen. So, yeah, everybody's different on how they handle that and the ways they do it.
Do you think the penalties issued Tuesday were enough to deter people from doing anything on Sunday?
Yeah, we'll see on Sunday. I mean, I don't really know, right? I mean, we'll see what happens.
You think that NASCAR looked favorably on Ford since was
don't
it
know.
Chevy and Toyota involved?
Now we're getting some conspiracy theories on that one. I don't know if that's quite the case.
You don't know because, if they suspend drivers, and I guess that would gotten the point across, or you just don't know?
Well, I'm just saying, yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to say, right? I mean, the beneficiaries of it are still in, so, and nothing happened. So you tell me if it was good or not, right? Like, did it work or did it not? Like, was it worth it? Right? I don't know. I'm not NASCAR. I'm not the person that can make the call on that stuff. I'm just driving the cars. You just hope that everyone races fairly.
How important is integrity to a sport?
Well, that's everything, right? I mean, you see plenty of documentaries on how sports and people have kind of done things in the wrong way and how it can destroy a sport. So NASCAR is backed up against the wall to where they had to do something, right? They have to do something to control us. I say us because it's everybody, right? I mean, whatever the rule is, whether it's this 100% rule or it's putting the cars together, if the rules aren't enforced, the sport will fall apart. So it's important to keep that.
Joey, you see the importance of manufacturers, especially after Martinsville. When you started this series, compare the manufacturer's importance, whether it's financially or influence, to where you are now, a decade into the series.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, in some ways it's grown, in some ways not, but I think the next gen car itself has kind of made the manufacturer matter a lot more because there's only certain things that we can control, right? The car is the car, so the body becomes important. That's one thing that the OEM can control. The engine, there's the other one, right? And those are two big speed knobs. So the teams are, they have the ability to tune and make a car better than the others, but there's times where we've seen it, right? What happened earlier in this year, right? The Fords were off, all of them, right? Like, you tell me all the teams were off? No, no, the OEM matters, and we've been able to turn that around altogether, which is great.
In your first two championships, you went on to win the title after winning the round of 8 opener. You did that again this year. How important is having those extra 2 weeks to prepare, and how does it differ from times that you got in the last race?
I mean, it just gives you more time, right? And you give this team time, we become pretty dangerous pretty quickly. So I think that's our advantage coming into this weekend, is that we've had 2 weeks while everyone else has had their tongues hanging out trying to make it. We've been going through things methodically and got our batteries recharged and ready to go.
And you'd be in very elite company with 3 titles. Only four drivers have more than that. So, obviously everyone wants to win, but what would it mean to you personally to have 3 and and lead all drivers currently in the series full time?
I'm gonna say it's a great accomplishment to try to reach. I think honestly more about the people. As I've gotten older, I care more about others more than I do myself a lot of times, and I care a lot about the people that work on our race cars, and giving them the opportunity to celebrate would mean the most. And then maybe later on down the road, and I can look back at the stats and think that's cool, but knowing the impact of a championship makes you think about the people a lot more.
What would winning 3 in a row mean?
Yeah, nice.
So, have you watched the replay of what you accomplished on Sunday, and is it giving you chills?
Yeah, I watched the race back. Yeah, Sunday night when I got home, and yeah, it was cool to go back. I always watch the races back that night when I get home, and yeah, just kind of cool to relive it, go back through it because there's so much happening in the moment. It's cool to kind of go back and remember some of those things that went on. So yeah, crazy effort by our whole team, and knew what we needed to do, and to rebound from Miami, I thought was just a storybook type of deal. So hopefully we can finish that story off this weekend.
People were complimentary you and Hamilton. People in the industry reach out to you, and what did you hear the most that kind of resonated with you? Like, wow, that's really cool.
I don't know. I think I did have some texts from some people that were like, man, that's the greatest drive I've ever seen. And I'm like, easy now. You know, it was good, but you know, hey, but no, that was just pretty neat. You know, to run how we did and come from as far back as we did. I think that was kind of the biggest thing. Restarting, you know, 10th or so, and coming from 6 seconds back, and being able to stretch it out there at the end. So I didn't know if it was going to go that way in the moment, but fortunately it did for us. And so yeah, it was cool to hear those words.
You weren't dirty. You were physical. I think that's short track racing, right? That was okay. But I've never seen that from you before, if that makes sense. A little bit with Chase there. Not dirty, but just aggressive. Is that fair to say? Like you were kind of at a level of aggressiveness we haven't.
Yeah, it's just. I think I said Sunday night, like I had to lay the bumper to more people than I would like to. I don't normally enjoy doing that, but in the moment, like I couldn't waste any time on people, especially the last 2 runs of the race. I just couldn't waste any time knowing how good our car was, and if we lost track position or something, we needed to get it back, and I just couldn't sit around and ride behind guys for 15 laps. So I tried to do it in a way, if I did have to lay the bumper, of like not just blast somebody out of the way, like you just kind of shove them in there a few miles an hour faster and get them up off the bottom and go. But then with the 9, like I was never going to touch the 9. Like for the lead of the race at the end, like I made my decision up. I was never going to touch him for multiple reasons. He and I are buddies, and also I didn't want to move anybody for the win. So yeah, luckily it worked out to where I was able to get a big run off of 2, running the top, and get underneath him. So yeah, just that's how you got to be at that place. And yeah, I just couldn't really waste any time. So I didn't want to do anything overly egregious, but I feel like it was all pretty fair.
Might that change on Sunday night if you're going for the championship?
I don't know. Everyone has their line, right? Like, what line are you not willing to cross? And everyone's line's different, of how they think of what they need to do in the moment. I've always been a pretty huge believer is I'm not going to spin somebody out on purpose. And I don't really ever want to get to the point of where they could possibly spin out. But if you do have to possibly get aggressive and nudge people out of the way, I mean that's just what it is, and you got to understand what you're going for. So that's all situational, and what are you willing to do in that certain time.
How would you say you stack up versus the other 3? The outside, it seems like you're kind of the favorite, if you would, but again, you can make a case for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, every one of us is going to say, we feel great about our chances, and we think we're the best group, and as they should, right? Everyone needs to be confident in their team, but yeah, I can personally say by our group, I feel like we've been incredibly strong all year, really. I mean, it doesn't really show how great we've been, really, as a 12 team. It's easy for me to see it, and how they are operating, I feel like it has been just unbelievable. So this place has been pretty good to us in the past. I feel like our performance at these types of racetracks this year have been really, really strong. Hopefully that continues. But yeah, you just never know. You never know who's going to get, who has what speed. We're going to know tomorrow night, kind of where everyone stacks up, where you stack up. But yeah, I think our 12 group is executing really, really well, and we're controlling things we can control to the best of our ability. And that's really all I can ask for. And if it's enough, that's great. If it's not, then you're going to come up short. But all I can ever ask is just give everything you got. And that's all I ever ask of my guys. And when they do that, they can be winners and win championships. And hopefully we bring that attitude.
What would it mean to be the first champion who does go back-to-back under this format, and the first champion to go back-to-back since 2010 when Jimmy did it?
Yeah, we have a few milestones we could hit this weekend. Like you mentioned, go back-to-back. First ones in this format, the first one since Jimmy. We have a great opportunity to do that. We have a chance to win 3 in a row for Roger on Team Penske's side between Joey and I. And we have a chance to be 3 in a row for Ford on the Cup Series championships. So yeah, there's a lot of neat milestones that we can accomplish this weekend. But yeah, I think it would just mean a lot to go back to back. It's something that's really difficult to do. Obviously, it hadn't been done in a while. There's a reason for that. It's hard to get here 2 years in a row and then perform on the weekend. So yeah, I mean the world, meaning more than the first, to be honest with you.
What do you think about the penalties issued on Tuesday, and do you feel like it's enough to dissuade anything from happening on Sunday?
Yeah, when those came out, NASCAR had to make a call, I feel like. I'm happy they decided to do something because I feel like, when you get to those situations like we had at Martinsville, that takes a lot away from the racing aspect of it, of like the fast cars are going forward, the slower cars are dropping. When you kind of do things like that, it does take a little bit away from the competitive side of it. So I don't know if I haven't really put any thought like, was it enough? Was it too much? I don't really know. And you just hope that there's a precedent set when NASCAR makes decisions like that you can just take that away, right? And because that's no fun. It's unfortunate that the amazing 500 laps of Martinsville, the whole race was awesome. A lot got taken away from the whole race because of what happened at the end with that whole deal that was going on. So it takes away from big storylines and takes away from good storylines and kind of has not so good of storylines when that stuff happens. So, yeah, I don't know, good enough or enough or not enough, I don't really know. It's out of my call, but hopefully you don't see any of that funny business this weekend.
How much did your notes from November play into context here this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, there's things you always are taking from previous events. We've taken things that we learned last spring, last November, this spring, things we've learned through this year with this right side tire that we've run at other places. You're always like picking and choosing things that you think are going to work, that have been good for you, and you stay away from the things that maybe you tried and did that weren't as good for you. So you're always constantly learning. So it's not like we're just taking what we did in the fall last year and putting it, in this car. You can't do that. So you're always learning new things through the year, and hopefully we've applied the right things. I like your tattoo, by the way.
So a lot of drivers today always talk about how execute the weekend. That's the big thing, which is easy enough to say, but what does that mean from your perspective?
Yeah, execute the weekend. You can only control your team, and when people say that, at least what my definition of it is give 100% of your effort, through the week, through the weekend. Don't make mistakes. Try your best not to make mistakes, and if you do make mistakes, overcome them. And make a plan to remedy those mistakes. I think that's the biggest thing, just controlling what you guys can control, and us as a 12 group do the best that we can as 15 people, and that's really all you can do. You just hope to outperform everybody, not make mistakes if other people kind of flounder. Just try to do your job the best you can.
Ryan, how different was the preparation this year compared to last year? How different was it?
Same. Pretty much the same. I kind of big believer of if you have your routine and it works for you, don't really do anything less or anything more. When you find something that works for you, just for a certain moment. And that's just from my side and Jonathan's side. Like he and I's conversations. I mean, my guys were there till 10 o'clock Tuesday night before that thing loaded up to kind of get it ready. So like their work, right? They didn't have. It's a short week for them. They had to really bust their butts to get the car where it needed to be to go and load up for here. But yeah, my prep work, very similar to how I deal with every single weekend. Looking at past notes, talking to Jonathan, talking to Timmy, seeing where, I think the track's going to be and where Jonathan thinks it's going to be and strategy. So, I don't really approach anything very different no matter what race it is.
Has there been any sharing of it?
This is Custom Patch Hats. But what makes us custom? Well, that actually begins with you. We're just bringing your unique vision to life. No knockoffs, no lookalikes. Your design is one of a kind. We know hats, we know design, and we know quality. The proof? It's in our production. Hand-stitched with precision and care, with brands you know and trust. A one-of-a-kind patch deserves a one-of-a-kind treatment, all the way to your doorstep. It's how we keep it custom.
Trenton Worsham with Frontstretch.com. Come back for more great racing videos. And if you like us, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.